Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Utah Hockey Broadcast. I am Patrick McGann, alongside Anita Tsuchiya. We're bringing you coverage between the University of Utah W1 team versus the University of Wyoming W1 team. The second of two matchups here from Salt Lake City. Utah victorious yesterday by a wide margin. 13-0 was the final score. And tonight, looking to grab another win against Wyoming. And Griswold, as you can see on your screen, getting the start tonight. We'll take a break for the national anthem and be right back. Welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick McGann alongside Anita Tsuchiya. And Utah looking, like we said, for the second win in a row tonight. And talking to the coaching staff last night, Braden Yeo and Rodney Stett. I think this was interesting, Anita. We had a good conversation with them. They think that they have the opportunity to win out the rest of the season.
They definitely feel very confident about that. I think part of that was that Michigan trip, which they, came away with 2 wins and 1 overtime loss to the University of Michigan, who was the strongest team out of that whole trip, and they lost it was an overtime loss, so that means they held them tied through regulation and then lost in sudden death overtime. I believe it was the first sudden death overtime period. So I think based on that, they're feeling, very confident about that.
Very confident. And to give you an idea of what teams they have in between them and a winning out season, they have Colorado State in 2 weeks in Fort Collins. And then they have the Beehive Showcase, Montana State, Massachusetts, Amherst, Michigan. Then they go to the road in January to play Montana State. Another bye weekend, they play Colorado at home, and then Denver at home, back-to-back weekends. Then visit this Wyoming team in Laramie, Wyoming. And those are the teams left between Utah and the perfect rest of their season. The puck's been dropped. We're underway here in Salt Lake City between Wyoming and Utah. Second of 2 games. We mentioned Utah victorious last night, looking for second consecutive win against this Wyoming team. That is shorthanded tonight. They're missing 1 skater, 3 skaters on the bench. It's like we said yesterday, it's hard to play with only 3 skaters on your bench and see what they can improve tonight with Utah as well.
And Wyoming does have a pretty decent goalie in Paige Hansen, and she is the only goalie for Wyoming, but she's a pretty decent goalie. I mean, Patrick mentioned the numbers yesterday. I mean, she's facing a lot of shots on goal,
Absolutely.
And she doesn't have a lot of defense in front of her.
A 16, but the save percentage is a .8 on the dot, and like I said, I'm a big believer, and that's more of a judgment of a goaltender's character and skill. And when you're facing upwards of 50 shots a night, and you're saving 80% of them, that's obviously that's still a lot of goals being let in, but at the same time, you're facing 50 shots. Most goalies don't even see 50 shots in a game, so it's
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good goaltender there, and hopefully building her skills as Wyoming brand new, as we said, to the W1 level, and as we mentioned before, Utah knows the beginnings all too well as that puck stumped in, taken over there by Wyoming. Here
and I think part of the confidence for Utah is that they've already met Arizona State, and they don't meet them again.
Right. And
Arizona State is clearly one of the strong, the team to beat, as they say.
Yes, and ASU looking better than ever this season, and
yeah,
like I think Anita says, the team to beat.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this last night, again, talking to head coach Yo, that they really beefed up their recruiting between last season and this season. They have more than a handful of NCAA transfers.
Yes.
And few of those women are also graduate students, which means they're, older.
Right.
Still young enough to play, but that maturity really does help a lot.
Absolutely. Definitely does. And, Utah trying to recruit at the level of ASU, they're getting much better in the recruiting area as this team has really brought in a lot of skill since the first year of the program. And, tying it into this game, Coach Rodney Stett, he thinks that this Wyoming team can very much be just like us.
Right. In a few years, they just, need to persevere. In a few years, it was very, very reminiscent. Assistant coach Rodney Stett wasn't here for that. Patrick was, and I think Patrick agrees that, this could be like looking in a mirror, a little bit of a time machine.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's, Wyoming, if they can get players to come to their school, I mean, it's very similar to Utah, the recruiting pitch, right? I mean, you got a beautiful scenery around you in a great state, and you could go to school at a big university and get a good degree and play hockey in a cool place. So I think the recruiting pitch is there for Wyoming, and I think that they use that in the next couple of years, and they could be a force to be reckoned with, just like Utah has become that force. After having a really good performance on home ice last year against ASU, that's a huge highlight of their season, and playing a team that good and coming away with a split, but also, taking that team, only giving up one goal to lose to them. I mean, that was a very good series. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I remember how excited, these girls were and the coaching staff was and the program was with that big win. It was a big win for the program, and it's a type of win that puts you on the map.
Yes, and speaking of which, I mean, part of the recruiting talk we were having was that the head coach Yo and assistant coach Stets were also pleasantly surprised this year that Utah is starting to make a name for themselves, which they had sort of predicted that, we have a chance to have a breakout year. They're actually getting calls from athletes who want to look into the program because the reputation of Utah hockey is now starting to grow.
Yes.
It really helped that Utah made the trip to New England last year and the trip to Michigan this year to really get that exposure.
Yes.
But they said it's so gratifying to get a call from an athlete who says, hey, I'm interested in your program.
And I think it's interesting, too, because you have athletes not only that are, they're very high-profile athletes that, are saying, hey, if I don't, if I don't want to go to this school, if I don't want to go play at a higher level, whatever it may be, I'm coming to your school. And, it's encouraging to see that. And, I think it's a sleeping giant, I think Utah is, just because, it's a great university. Kind of, I think, similar to Wyoming, right? Like a university out there in the western United States that has a lot of programs. Shoot, they score! And Utah...
It's like...
on the board first.
Michaela Torrey, I think, had that one. She had an open shooting lane from the middle slot and popped it right in there. I think what's also good about the University of Wyoming is I do believe their academic reputation is quite good. So you can kind of go out and get away from the city without worrying that you're getting a lower quality education. I know that Utah, that's a selling point for Utah as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
When GM A.J. Bolden goes out and talks to kids and their parents, that, hey, you can get a world-class education.
Absolutely, right. You
for
can.
a lot less money than going to, say, like Southern California or, you know, Boston College.
Colorado, right? Colorado's nearby
yep.
to Laramie. I think it's less than a 5-hour drive from Laramie to Boulder. So, I mean, you can recruit against that. And, you know, I think Wyoming sometimes as a university sometimes gets caught up in confusion with, you know, Utah and Colorado because it's, you know, in the Western United States, and it's a very good school. But, you know, this was back in the days of the Mountain West Conference, Wyoming, you know, their sports, whether it was football, basketball, you know, whatever it may be, they were playing Utah regularly in these sports and in Colorado and all these sports. And now the Pac-12 exists and Wyoming is not a part of that. They're still in the Mountain West. You know, we don't see Wyoming as much on our campus, you know, their sports.
That's a good point.
But at the same time, you know, the conference here doesn't really designate how good of a university you are. It just designates, you know, who you're going to play in sports. And so Wyoming, you know, a great university out there in Laramie. And it's, you know, like we said, this is a school that can have a hockey program. This women's one program can soar to good heights. And, you know, you go to Colorado, the Denver metro area. That's a great place to recruit. There's a lot of great hockey being played in Denver. The game is really growing there. This is a shot by Stevenson. She scores!
Ooh, she snuck it by that near post, and Hansen's regretting that one because she knew when she looked that she didn't quite have her pad covering that angle and snuck in there. It was pretty much an opening just about 6 inches wide, about the diameter of a puck, and that was all Stevenson needed.
Tuck it away.
Stevenson's one of those defenders. I love watching because she's not only an excellent defender, she's got a wicked wrist shot, and she is not afraid to shoot. So she can be an offensive force as well as being a great defender.
Here comes Nielsen, 3-on-2, a backhand shot, rebounds loose, good save.
Excellent save by Hansen there.
Hansen makes a really nice save, and Griswold comes out to play it.
And I think, you know, we've talked about it, you know, quite a bit, but it really does take some perseverance, and it really is possible because we're not kidding that Utah was in a very similar position only 3 years ago where they were just doing double shifts and having like very few extra helmets on the bench. Unlike, I mean, this year we actually have a full roster. I believe last year we were still a couple of gals short of a full roster.
And yeah, I mean, tryout numbers are also getting bigger for the women's team here in Salt Lake City, so that's good to see.
And we're seeing women coming in from the Midwest, from the East Coast, right? You know, hockey strongholds where there's this long tradition of women playing hockey at a very young age. Oh, and just missed. That's Yarrow, Caitlin Yarrow, just missed on that wrist shot.
Yeah, it's a lot of exciting things happening. And, yeah, I think if you're Wyoming, you could eventually get there and really recruit in those states and get girls to come out and play, you know, a great brand of hockey at a great university and, you know, in a great town of Laramie, Wyoming. So, you know, I think it'll be a force to be reckoned with, and I think it could be a sleeping giant, you know, as well. And I think that may even hold true for the university as a whole, right? You know, University of Utah in recent years bringing in bigger and bigger freshman classes, but I think Wyoming as well with the growing popularity, you know, of these schools that are a little bit cheaper in the Western United States, and you know, especially for out-of-state students. And
you know, there's also the change in just scenery, right? You know, I mean, if you're used to living, say in like New York or, you know, New Jersey or Chicago, you know, a little bit of a change of scenery is kind of nice.
Yes, I'd agree with that. That's a good point, and that's you know, go play hockey at a cool place. I know that's part of the recruiting pitch for Utah. It's like, hey, we have some gorgeous landscapes that you can go explore, whether you want to ski, or mountain bike, or hike. Like, you could do anything you want. I mean, I'm sure it's the same thing in Laramie, Wyoming. Sure, you know, you got the mountains nearby, and you know, here in Utah, you have, you know, excellent hiking and skiing. In fact, you know, you can go skiing and broadcast hockey game in the same day. I'm a testament to that, and I'm going to keep saying that and recruit people to, you know, tell people, come play hockey at Utah because you can do these things, and come play hockey at Wyoming. You could say the same thing, and you know, I think it could be a sleeping giant of a program, and even a school as that puck gets cleared all the way down. Griswold comes way out, plays the puck. It's Caps. Pass over to Bailey. Bailey skates with it. Centering pass deflected. Almost halfway through the first here. Utah comes in. One-time pass. It's deflected. They score. It's going to be Hansen getting the goal there after it deflected a couple ways, and Utah takes a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, I think Utah actually gave some of the starters a rest last night. And now we've seen Hansen didn't play last night, didn't dress last night, for example. And I believe Fish was also not dressed last night. So we have kind of a few switches here. And then today it looks like Fish is back in the line. And Kistner, I'm sorry, not Kistner. Hansen is back in the line.
Here's Caps. Caps, very talented player.
Yeah, I believe Caps plays on the same line as Kistner, so I'm really excited to see the showcase, when the showcase comes to town, to see that duo. Ooh, nice one there by, is that Pimentel? Kristen Pimentel, number 8. That's a nice wrister. Oh, no, sorry, that was number 6. That was Ella Weber. My apologies. The 6 and the 8 look kind of alike.
Utah will take the draw in the Wyoming zone. That'll be won by Utah. McCain tries to dump it in. Puck gets in deep. Kane dumps it into the zone. It's a shot and it goes wide. And the whistle blows. Hooking penalty called against Wyoming.
Oh, boy. And it looks like that's going to be number 16. That is Hadley Justison. I didn't actually see the penalty, but
I didn't either, but
Wyoming's going to have to defend. I think Wyoming had 2 penalties last night. They had to play shorthanded twice, I believe.
And that's also one thing that you could do to really improve your team is, not taking penalties. That's something that Wyoming, that's an easy goal to accomplish and, stay out of the box. And they did a great job of that yesterday.
Yeah,
2 minutes
really
and 60 minutes. 2 penalties in 60 minutes is very good.
And especially when you're shorthanded on the bench, what you want to try to avoid is having to defend shorthanded, which is going to gash out.
Or no, it hit the crossbar, and now it's a goal. Rebound goes in. The first goal I thought was a goal, but
Hansen went down. Did that rebound hit her in the head on the way? Oh. I didn't see what happened with the rebound.
I didn't quite either.
The reason that Utah was able to score on that rebound was that Hansen went down and couldn't get back up. And so they essentially had an empty net to score on. And I didn't see anyone like bump her or anything. She just went down and then just could not get back up. So she's being looked at by the trainer.
I didn't quite see it happen. She's up and responsive, which is good.
Yeah, no, it didn't look like. Yeah, she's kind of trying to pantomime, but I can't read glove sign language. So
no, I can't. I can't read
loss.
lips either from all the way out here. We're coming to you from basically the camera angle you see on your screen is what we're looking at right now in person. That's the view we have of the situation currently.
But kind of as you said, Patrick, I mean, it's a pretty ambitious goal, but, winning the rest of the season. But, looking at the schedule, again, Montana State is another team that seems to be they're struggling a bit too. They are new to Women's 1, and they're coming in as an independent. So Wyoming came in as Women's 1 and joined the WWCHL, whereas Montana State is just coming in as an independent.
Interesting.
And I've seen some of the scores, and they're getting beat, not quite as much, but they're still struggling, and clearly they're in the early stages.
Yes.
I think again, Colorado State. I know Coach Yo knows that's going to be a tough series. If we could split that series, which is going to be in where's Colorado State again?
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins. That would, and we walk away with a split on that. Come home. I know Coach Yo and Coach Stedt are very confident that Amherst and Michigan are beatable, especially because we'll be doing it at home.
Right.
So if they could win 2 out of the 3 of those games on that weekend, you know, Montana State again, beatable. I think the other tough one will be University of Colorado. When Utah went
those
to
are great games.
Yeah, when Utah went to Colorado, Utah won on a forfeit, but then lost to Colorado the next night. We'll be playing at home then, and I think that she's feeling, you know, confident because this team has a lot of freshmen. If I remember correctly, it's
17.
No, I think 14.
14. Okay, 14.
So if I remember correctly, the women's roster is 32 women, 14 freshmen. That's almost half.
Almost.
So these women are learning to play together, right? They're freshmen. They've never played together.
Right.
Well, some of them may have, but so it takes time to kind of for that to gel.
And like you mentioned, I think it's one thing to say too is talking to the coaching staff. They said, you know, that's fine. Like Arizona State, they can get the NCAA transfers. That's fine. Watch this team mature and see what happens. Right.
And what they're excited about is, as most of those are true freshmen, that means they get to have those gals for multiple seasons and watch them develop.
Absolutely.
And I think, yeah, indeed, Coach Yo and Coach Stedt especially, they're not discouraged by that at all. They're actually very excited about this ability to then beat Arizona State with homegrown talent.
Right.
And I'm saying homegrown because we'd be developing them as opposed to picking them up from a transfer.
Right. And transfers are great because you bring in skill instantly, right? But then you also lose it instantly when you have young talent. And this goes in pros too. I mean, you have sports fans all the time saying, you know, our team is rebuilding, right? We're starting from scratch. We're getting all the good draft picks and the prospects. Well, that kind of applies in college too, but it's a little bit differently. It's just you bring in young, true freshmen. And these are true freshmen. The only one that was brought in that's not a true freshman and is a sophomore, that'd be Kistner, and she's a sophomore.
Right.
So there's still 2 more years left of one of the best players on the team playing with all these other freshmen that are developing. There's a shot they score. That'll be a goal scored.
That's Gracie
Carrig.
Looks like she skated in and was able to sneak that one under the pads of Hansen. And she's out there encouraging her team, so I guess she bounced back pretty quickly from that little pause. That's one tough gal, I'll tell you right now. My hat's off. I'm tipping my hat to you, Paige Hansen. So it's now 4-0, and we've got about 8 minutes, 16 seconds left in the first period.
And I know it's insane, you know.
And it's important it's going to be important for Wyoming as well to take that long view, right? It's going to be really important to remember that, you know, everybody's going to start from somewhere. And the long view is going to be the thing that helps them get better every year.
Right.
All right.
And puck goes to the point, and it's shot wide. Utah taking their time to set up the passing lanes here. One-time shot, just wide rebound tucked in.
Oh, and it's tucked in by, it looks like, Mary Kate Shutt.
Shutt will get the goal.
Yeah, so Paige got the initial save, but the rebound came out, and Shutt was sitting right there where she's supposed to be on that far post. Tucked it right in.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it's not easy playing in these games, right? They, like I said yesterday, they're playing for the love of the game, and you know, it's fun for them to play. But at the same time, it's hard to play in these games too, mentally, and
GM AJ Bolden can relate because in the early days when he was actually playing for Utah, I believe he said his first game he faced over 70 shots.
Wow.
And he felt like he got caught in a hailstorm of hockey pucks.
And that's where
and
Utah.
that was the early days of,
Right.
of the Utah men's team where they were just getting blasted. Ooh,
And
we got a penalty coming up.
Against Wyoming. Might be a tripping call, would be my guess.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Maybe Wyoming's second penalty.
That was Miranda D'Antonano who kind of went down and it looked like, somebody got a stick in the way. So looks like it's going to be Ashley Krieger. Will make her way into the penalty box, sit for 2 minutes with 6 minutes and 37 seconds left in the period. Wyoming for a minute had 5 players on the ice, and suddenly somebody realized, I got to get off the ice now. So Mary Raygold quickly makes her way to the bench.
And Wyoming, in a way, you technically get to rest. I mean, when you think about it technically, you get to rest. You get to have 4 players resting at once when you're in the box. So, technically it could be helping them, by getting some rest. And so
as long as they can, keep the defense up and not let a goal score.
Right. Obviously, you don't want to go to the box, but it does provide a resting opportunity.
Don't get any ideas out there, folks. Don't start starting penalty because you want to go sit for 2 minutes. That's not what we're encouraging.
It's just crazy to they have 8 skaters tonight.
Yeah, it's just the box. The bench looks so empty.
And Wyoming will get an own goal there.
Oh, was that tipped in?
Tipped in by Gormley. It looks like Gormley. Excuse me.
Oh no. They were trying. I think they thought they had a chance to clear it out, and so they were sticking their sticks out there. But that does mean that Krieger gets out of the box, and Wyoming will go back to full strength.
And Utah will take over. They lead 6-0 currently. Centering pass, and it's deflected. Wyoming will take it over and break it out. Hadley Justison looks like the standout performer here for Wyoming. She's been playing excellent last couple of nights.
Yeah, good skating skills, good stick skills. And she decides it's time to go and take a rest, so she switches out.
Puck played down into the corner.
It looks like Shutt to Ellsworth, I believe. Is that 26? Can't quite see the number. Yep,
yeah, Ellsworth.
Apologies again. Between ponytails and numbers with that, could be a 6, could be 8. Sometimes a little bit tough to tell.
A little bit tougher than the men's games.
Right. Unless one of the men has an exceptionally long mullet, but nobody on the Utah team, I don't think, sports one of those. Alex King used to had a pretty good one going.
Yeah.
Right, here comes Nielsen.
And it'll be cleared all the way out. Pimentel plays it back.
I believe Samantha McCain and Kristen Pimentel are 2 of the women who kind of remember the early days, right?
Yes, they were here. They were here.
Senior members of the team, and they remember those early days of having to hustle out double shifts. And
so does Cruikshank was there as well in that first season.
Right, and playing both ways, being two-way players.
Right.
I remember there was a lot of that in those early days.
And
the end of the season banquet, all the women's team got Iron Woman awards because they all had to play both ways, double shifts.
Right. And that's the same thing with Wyoming, too, in this case. Whistle blows.
No penalty, right?
No penalty, it looks
frozen
like.
puck.
I believe so.
We don't see frozen pucks that often anymore.
Yeah.
It's just so rare for the puck to actually just be so immobile.
It has to be right. It has to be immobile for like a good 10 seconds for the refs to actually call it.
Usually somebody kicks it or something.
Right.
In this case, too, it might have been it was underneath Nielsen, so maybe he just lost sight of it, so decided to blow the whistle.
Utah takes over. It's Caps, one of the standout performers on this team. Very fast skater.
Yeah, quick skater. Excellent stick handling skills as well.
You can see it right there. A beautiful pass to Pimentel.
Yeah, right on the tape.
Who has a shot, and it's deflected wide. We welcome all the fans from Utah watching, of course.
Like to mention to our viewers, especially if you like to follow stats, the Utah Hockey program does provide live stats during the game. So you can go to the Utah Hockey website, you can click on the schedule, just pick whether you want women's 1, men's D1, men's D2, and when you click on the schedule on the right-hand side, there's a column that says stats or game center. You click on that, and you will actually be able to see the stats, and so you'll know who scored. You'll know who's got a penalty, what the penalty's for. You'll see assists. You'll see starting lineups. And you'll have all that live during the game. And then, of course, after the game, it stays up. It's evergreen, and you can always go back if you want to reference. I like to do that where I have the stats on my phone and then watch the YouTube stream, and then I can go and check and see, like, oh, okay, that was the assist.
Or if you're, watching the M2 team like tonight, oh, there's the 12th penalty of the game, and I can count them on my screen.
Man, I can't believe there was 12 penalties. As Patrick pointed out, I don't think you said that on the air. That was like one period's worth of time spent sitting in the penalty box, playing shorthanded.
Yes, so that was something interesting after the game I looked at, because we were talking to some of the broadcast crew, and we were talking about, like, okay, how many penalties they have? It was upwards of 10. And they had 12 penalties. 2 of them were, one was a 10-minute and one was a 15-minute maybe, and those were penalties where the player wasn't ejected. They just had to sit in the box for 10 minutes and couldn't be of use to the team for 10 minutes. It was still 5-on-5, but there was 10 2-minute penalties, 10 minor penalties for Utah, which adds up, obviously, to 20 minutes of penalty time. They spent one-third of the game in the penalty box.
And shorthanded.
Shorthanded, right. And they only lost the game 3-2, right? That's kind of crazy. I think they should have lost by more if you spend that much time in the box, but I thought that was pretty interesting. You don't see that in hockey very often, where one team literally spends a full period in the box. And now, obviously, it didn't happen at one time, but after the game was over and you add up all the amount of time that was spent in the penalty box, it was 20 minutes.
And of course, Patrick also pointed this out, that if you're head coach Cornelius, just imagine if we'd spent half that time on the ice, we could have won that game.
I think when you said that, it made me think about it, because you literally matched the skill. 2 of the goals
were power play goals.
2 goals from Weber State were power play goals. So makes it Utah winning 2-1 basically, if you take them away.
Instead of losing 3-2, it could have been 2-1 win.
And I know you can't necessarily just say, take 2 away and assume Utah still gets 2 goals, but still, it really is. There is a difference there, because it just kind of shows you that they shoot, they score, falling down and shooting.
Nielsen looks
like Nielsen, and she'll get a goal for the Utes.
Attica Nielsen.
So almost have a minute left in the first period.
I think it's also might be helpful for people to realize Utah Hockey has quite a presence on social media. So if you have that app loaded on your phone, be sure to check out the social media channels. Twitter, we actually have different Twitter feeds for each of the teams. The men's one is Utah Hockey. The women's is Utah W Hockey. And the men's 2 is Utah M2 Hockey. So if you like to follow, and the Twitter feed will often give live updates.
Yes.
They will also give end of period summaries, so you'll be able to find out what the score is after every period. I shouldn't say live updates, because they don't actually update every time there's a goal, for example, but they try to give, at least at the end of every period, you'll know what the goal is. And there's some very nice graphics.
Yes.
There'll be video clips, maybe like pregame video clips, some excellent photography. So if you kind of like watching like action photos, and maybe catch a glimpse of one of your kids.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're a parent watching, that could be one of your children on the graphic looking all cool. You can save the picture to your phone and, print out a picture for the wall, but something to note too. I need to mention we have live scoring here, which is actually a luxury. Not a lot of teams provide that. It's, most teams will take the stats on paper, just, obviously like it as customary as always done. But we have live stats here. Not every team does have live stats. So when you're watching, if you're a fan of the University of Utah women's team,
right.
If you're a fan of the University of Utah women's team, you can use that Twitter feed to check the score. That's what I do for the men when they're on the road.
Right.
When I'm tracking the M1 team and I have to write for the team, I just check the scores via Twitter, and that's a very handy thing to have. But we're at the end of the first period here in Salt Lake City. We'll take a break, just as both teams will. At the end of the first period, it's Utah 8, Wyoming 0. But we'll be back as there's still 40 minutes left in this contest.
Welcome to the Rocky Mountains.
Welcome to open trails and new vistas.
Welcome to stunning Red Rock.
Welcome to the greatest snow on earth.
By the tree of broken glass, where the hope
Welcome to game day fun.
anything could last. So let's go and take the words that we know.
Welcome to the party!
Of thoughtful dreams. But if you listen, you can still hear
Welcome to Pac-12 Sports.
our names, calling out our names.
Welcome to world-class research.
We'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab your
Welcome to the arts.
have no trip. We are tough as nails. Come on, this is our land.
Welcome to real-world experiences.
We can go to that bridge that crosses over fear.
Welcome to a great education.
Love and what it does to those they hold near. So let's run till the water
Welcome to new
meets the
friends.
sun. We can toss our worries far away from our hearts. And if you listen,
Welcome to the time of your life.
not hear them calling out our names, calling out our
Welcome to all you can imagine.
Though we might fade and fall, we'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab and walk and see. Those gray clouds look close, but we have come and gone.
Welcome to the University of Utah.
So get up and grab and walk and see.
Thanks for calling the Salt Lake Visitor Center. If you have any questions, please leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Hello! I tell you what, I'm just going to put you on speaker. All right, a little about me. I'm a bit of a phenomenal skier, so I want to take my family on a vacay, which is short for vacation. Hope you don't mind the abbreviations. I'm just short of time today, so I need to sort of hurry things along. Just a few simple questions for you. They call Salt Lake Ski City, but you do ski in the mountains, right? I'm just picturing myself skiing down the sidewalk there next to the shops. Knowing my luck, I'll do one of my big flips and end up in the traffic. So I don't want that to be the case. Look, I've got to go. You're really keeping me here. Although I will say, I'm going to see your Utah Jazz play a basketball game. And I've heard there's a couple of Australians in the team. So here's my question. Are they causing you any trouble? I just had a thought. The average snowfall near Salt Lake is 500 inches. If I was to utilise all of that to build a giant snow person, would that be majestic or a bit scary? Oh, hey, listen, just quietly. I'm a big family guy. You know that, I've told you that. But after a few days with them, I'm going to need a drink. That's legal, right? I hear Utah has the youngest population of any state. So if I was to head down to one of your hot rockin' clubs or a social event, would there be a youth person in there that might be able to explain Snapchat to me? My kids just won't do it. Now, I've heard there's a bit of a Sharks versus Jets rivalry between the skiers and the snowboarders. And if I made that movie, would you watch it? Ooh, when was your last Yeti sighting? Are you getting all this, by the way? I'm assuming you can rewind. The Utah state bird is a California gull. I mean, even you've got to admit that is confusing. I guess that's more of a statement than a question, but still I thought I'd bring it up. Now, your Ski City Super Pass, I take it that's part of the Marvel Universe. If I get that, will people call me the Winter Soldier Man? I really wish you could see this. All right, well, this will be costing me, so I better go. Thanks for everything. Bye.
Hi, this is Beth from the Salt Lake Visitor Center calling you back to answer your questions. First off, yes, you can absolutely drink here. We'd prefer if you ski in the mountains, and I'm happy to call you Winter Soldier.
My name is Marguerite Van Komen, and I'm a snowbird ski patrolman. My dog's name is Frank. What a good boy, huh? What a good boy you are. I start every morning waking up and having breakfast with the dog, and then we finish every day having dinner together, but everything in the middle changes. We train them using their own instincts, so instead of hunt for dinner, they're hunting for humans. A lot of thought goes into choosing these dogs. Number one, they've got to be able to handle the cold. Number two, they got to be pretty hardy. And three, we're looking for very high drive dogs. The dog that is going to chew your sofa up at home, we want that dog. The people, the mountain at Snowbird, it's just special. And everything you want to do is here in Salt Lake. Get off the plane, grab your gear from the luggage cart, and within 30 to 45 minutes, you're up here and skiing on snow. You know, Salt Lake is super unique. We have 4 full seasons. So you can come up, ski all morning till the snow gets a little too smushy, and then you go and hit 18 at the golf course at the bottom of the mouth, and then you can go out for a wonderful dinner and see theater. It's amazing how much you can fit into your day. And not only do we have everything that you want to do, but we have great people to do it with. Everyone wants to be outdoors, happy, and go and play. Every day is different, and I love that. I love showing up to work and going, what is on the plate today? Snowbird is my family, and Salt Lake is my home, and Frank is a great part of that. My name is Marguerite Van Komen. I'm a snowbird ski patrolman, and I am Salt Lake.
Welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Patrick McGann alongside Anita Tsuchiya, and we're here in Salt Lake City bringing you coverage between Utah and Wyoming here at the SLC Sports Complex. Utah currently leading Wyoming 8-0 as we start the second period of play. Just to also update fans too on one game is currently happening in Tucson, Arizona currently. Scoreless through 7 minutes in Tucson for the M1 Utah hockey team. Only team this weekend that is not
playing at home.
Playing at home, correct.
I wanted to give an update, Patrick, too, because as we closed out that the first period, I was talking about social media, and I wanted to give fans a heads up. I said that the men's D1 Twitter feed is Utah Hockey, and that is the official Twitter feed. There is a Twitter feed that says Skatin' Utes. That's not actually the Utah Hockey Twitter feed. Now, that is the nickname. We do call ourselves the Utah Skatin' Utes.
Yes.
But just a heads up, that Twitter account that says Skatin' Utes, that's not Utah Hockey. I don't know who it belongs to. It doesn't have a lot of activity, but those of you who've kind of been around the program a while might get misled to thinking that. Those same handles, Utah W Hockey for the women, Utah Hockey for the men, and Utah M2 Hockey for the M2 men is also the Instagram handle. If you'd like to check out the Instagram. And again, lots of really beautiful action photos
if you find your
on the Instagram account.
Sure, parents watching, they can find their kids there on the playing in their jersey and
or if you're feeling
goals.
Nostalgic and looking at past seasons, players from past seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the original, the main Utah Hockey account, that one probably goes back years, and you could go back and see, big wins against, BYU and Utah State and the in-state rivalry teams, and go back and see it. Yeah, Utah gets called for too many women on the ice penalty.
Oh no! Somebody forgot how to count.
And it was pretty funny. One of the players in the ice, it actually might have been the player going to the box, Grace Carrig. She's like counting on the ice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You can see her go with her glove.
Literally, she was counting, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that is 6." Skates to the box. 2-minute penalty for Utah.
Oh dear.
Wyoming goes to the power play.
Yeah, but again, Utah Hockey is pretty active. Utah Hockey also has a Facebook account. I believe that's just the one account for all 3 teams, right? There's not separate ones. I believe that one is just Utah Hockey. Here, I have that in here somewhere. Let me look it up, she says. Let me look it up in our game day notes. We actually have game day notes.
Utah on the board in the M1 game, 1-0 through almost 9 minutes of play.
Yes. So we do have a Facebook account, and just to add the confusion, that one is actually Skatin' Utes. So the Facebook account that says Skatin' Utes, correct and official. The Twitter account that says Skatin' Utes, wrong, unofficial. Confuses even us up here.
Yes. And puck cleared all the way down. Wyoming still searching for their first goal of the series here in Salt Lake City. Good chance to get it here. Remember talking yesterday about these jerseys from Wyoming. We looked at what we'd assume are the home jerseys yesterday, the gold ones with
those were stunning
cowgirls across. Those were amazing.
Yeah, in block letters, cowgirls across. There were these bright yellow with the dark accents, and those were awesome.
Yeah, Wyoming, like I mentioned yesterday, very cool color code for their school.
And, I also want to give kudos and thanks to all the supporters. It looks like the Cowgirls have quite a nice group of supporters. They did a bunch of fundraising to begin the season, and it looks like they got a lot of support. And I really want to tip my hat to you folks again because, thank you for supporting these student athletes and letting them play. letting them play a game they love. That you know, you got to start from somewhere, and
right.
somebody's got to be the pioneer, and it's not always being that trailblazer.
Right.
So you folks out there who are willing to, like, you know, help support their fundraising efforts. I believe that the Cowgirls Wyoming Facebook page also has an online store, which I believe opens tomorrow through sometime in November. So for those of you who are listening who are from Wyoming or Wyoming supporters and you're not aware of that, go look up that Facebook page. I'm sorry I don't have the handle for that, but go look up that Facebook page and see if there's something. They've got some kind of pretty cool looking apparel, T-shirts and I believe hats and other kinds of fan wear.
I got any jerseys available? If they have any jerseys, send me that link.
I actually looked. I didn't see jerseys, but I have to admit I didn't actually go to the store itself because it's not open yet.
Okay.
So you'll have to look it up. But if you look up their Facebook page, they have a post there saying it's going to be opening, and I believe they said on the 31st tomorrow, in time for Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Buy a jersey.
Yeah. They just have fantastic jerseys. That'd be a cool one to wear, around. And I think it's, I'm a jersey, like I said yesterday, connoisseur, and I can't get my hands on a Utah hockey jersey quite yet. I've been asking around, and
and you've got connections. I believe.
I think I might have a couple. Yeah, in the program, I know some people, and they're hard to come by these days. I understand it's part of running the program. You got to get jerseys, and the shortage, COVID, and all that. But yeah, I've been trying to get one, but not quite yet. But we'll see. Maybe Wyoming will help me out. And
there you go.
I can make everyone at Utah hockey a little bit ticked off because.
Yeah, what are you wearing that for? Well, I asked you.
Well, I could I had the ability to get one, right? So,
yeah, right.
No, yeah, but. No, it's all fun and games. I think it's like we talked about yesterday. I think it's cool to talk about, like we said, college hockey is cool because that's not right. Like there's teams in cities and states and places that don't have professional hockey, and it's kind of their chance to say that this is our team, right, and kind of represent it in a
have
jersey.
A community identity.
Right, exactly. That's what jerseys are about, like, and that's what they're kind of getting more towards in professional sports. Like, all right, let's make jerseys that kind of have more of a community identity, and so I think it's cool that like especially Utah, like the Utahs, the Wyomings, like the University of Arizona, Oregon hockey or California, Cal hockey, whatever it is. Like, I love the California Golden Bears jerseys last weekend. Those were amazing. I think Utah does a fantastic job of keeping it simple and making it, keeping it simple and doing what they do very well. Just like, let's give you the red, black, and white. Let's give you Utah on the front. I think it looks that, the new jerseys are fantastic because the program, the Utah program, within the last, I think, 5 years or so, they moved to new jerseys. And they're the ones you currently see on the ice for the W1 team, the women's team wearing them right now. These are their home whites. Utah on the front, scripted with the number underneath that, and then the interlocking U on the shoulders. I think it's a fantastic jersey, and I think that the interlocking U, my personal opinion, is the best looking logo of the university. I love it. I think the two U's looks very classy.
And it's very distinctive.
Yes, very distinctive, right? I think it shows that identity that we've been talking about, and I think it's amazing that they get to use that on these jerseys. And then Wyoming as well. I think that the cowboy or the cowgirl, on riding the horse with the hat in the air, right?
Buckaroo.
Yeah.
Buck, as it says on the nameplates on these road jerseys.
Yes, and that is like, you see that logo, you're like, okay, Wyoming. That you think state of Wyoming, you think University of Wyoming, you think Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I think that's cool that they got that right on the jersey there, and they're gold and brown and
you
white.
Think probably NPRA, National Professional Rodeo Association.
Yeah, yep, exactly, right? So I think that's really cool that they're able to have that identity because that's part of the identity of Wyoming and the University of Wyoming. And designing jerseys, it's a chance for each ACHA club program to say, here's our team, and you always want to look classy, right? You want to look great on the ice. You don't want it to be too busy, and that's why I like these Wyoming jerseys. They're very simple. The colors pop out. They did a very good job, as did Utah. I mean, they have 4 sets of jerseys, and they have these ones. They have these white with the Utah script. They have the white interlocking U. They have the black road jerseys, which personal favorite of mine, and then they have the red interlocking U jerseys. I mean, I think the way the Utah does their jerseys is very, very good. I love how they have 4 different ones, and I mean, you can't pick a bad one. You can't pick a bad one. And if if I had my say, I'd you know, with those connections we might have talked about a couple minutes ago, I would, you know, having all 4 wouldn't be a bad thing, right?
Having all 4.
Yeah.
Can't have too many jerseys.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
In case
Thursday.
you hadn't noticed,
right.
folks, that you didn't hear us last night, Patrick is a bit of a jersey nerd.
Connoisseur. Yes, that's me. I love hockey jerseys.
So if you also like jerseys and you ever bump into Patrick, be sure to bring it up because I'm sure you and he would have a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of a jersey, not a connoisseur. I know very little. I kind of go with, oh, that looks pretty.
Yeah, I'm a big nerd on it. I know, who's the official NHL jersey outfitter and all that for every season. It's changed over the last couple of years from Reebok to Adidas and all that. So it's I love it. I think that's one of the coolest parts of the game. I think it's cool, You want to go out there and look classy, and you want to go out there and beat your opponent. Do it looking good.
Yeah, right. Do it in style.
Do it in style, correct, yeah. Utah skated in. They still lead 8-0 against this Wyoming team.
About halfway through the second period.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Beehive Showcase a little bit.
Yeah,
I think we talked about it in the men's game.
Fun time.
Yeah, in the men's game, and you'd mentioned that Coach Yo thinks she can win the rest of the season, and it's going to be fun because for us as well, because they're going to be bringing these teams that we don't normally get to see because they're not really part of the conference. Especially some of the East Coast and Midwest teams, it's kind of a road trip. Now, in this case, we've got for the women, Montana State's coming on Thursday, the 17th of November. Then on Friday, it's going to be University of Massachusetts Amherst. And we did go out to Amherst last year early in the season.
Yes.
That trip being particularly memorable because Southwest Airlines forgot, and I'm doing air quotes for those who can't see, the team equipment bag. And so the women's team arrived in, I can't remember if they were at Amherst first or Rhode Island, with no equipment. And a local sporting goods store opened his store after hours, sold them equipment at cost so they could play because there was no way they were going to get their equipment in time. Right. And so anyway, so now Amherst is returning that visit by coming here. And then the Saturday night game, which I think is going to be the showcase, that's going to be University of Michigan Dearborn women who
the University of Michigan women.
University of Michigan women. Sorry, University of Michigan women, who Utah just played on a road trip and only lost by 1 goal, 2-3 in overtime. So they stayed tied through regulation and then lost in overtime.
Yes,
and I know that every single gal on the team is itching for payback for that game.
Yep, absolutely. You want to beat them on home ice, and you go out to Yost and you lose in a great game. But it'd be a great chance for Utah to even up that series. And there's 2 tough games there. There's 2 quality tough games. The games against Amherst, the game against Amherst, and the game against Michigan. Those are 2 quality opponents where you can really make a statement by beating those 2 teams and maybe making your first ever appearance in those top 15 W1 rankings. And like we said, Michigan's a very, very, all these East Coast schools that you don't see often. We had a great conversation about it yesterday about, playing in, just in general, right? It doesn't matter where in the United States you play. I think it mostly applies to the West just because it's so big. There's not as many schools, but most teams play in their region, right? New England kind of stays in New England. The South kind of stays in the South, and the Midwest kind of stays in the Midwest. West stays in the West. But, you don't get to see these teams very often. It's very rare because, the trips are often a hassle to put together, right? It's not easy to book airfare and book hotels, and all of a sudden you have to fly out of Chicago Midway and instead of Detroit and all these things. So, it's logistically it's a nightmare for general managers, and it makes sense, right? Because you're going so far away, and it's long travel and it's tough on your players. But anytime you get a chance to go and make a road trip, it's a really good experience for the team. But at the same time, any chance to get to host a big showcase, that's amazing. I'm not quite sure if this Beehive Showcase is going to be an annual thing. I don't know if you know about that.
I don't know either if it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first year.
Right, it's the first year. And so it's the first time it's ever happened. And, here we are, the Utah broadcasters hosting the event. We don't even know if it's going to be a...
Well, there's a lot of things we don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But I think it's going to be a great opportunity for a lot of teams to come here, and especially the East Coast teams get to come to a really cool place and enjoy Salt Lake City for a while. And, maybe get them hooked on hopefully coming back, right? Oh yeah, we'll host you again. We'll come play us again at our barn, right? So I think
and we're hoping, that what'll happen is teams will come and have such a good time, they'll get the word out, and then maybe the next year it might be like a couple more teams, and it can become an annual.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can become an annual thing. I think it is interesting scheduling-wise, where it looks like the women's team has reached out to this Midwest, East Coast, trying to bring the teams in. On the other hand, the men's D2, who is also going to be playing their Beehive Showcase that same weekend, they're pulling from the Mountain West Collegiate Hockey League.
Yes.
So that's the Boise State, Grand Canyon University, and University of Wyoming and University of Montana. And that's important because that's the same conference that Utah State and Weber State play in, and formerly BYU, which is what made that particular small little mountain conference so strong and so competitive. So it'll be really fun to watch the other teams in that Mountain West Collegiate League that we don't normally get to see.
Right. And it's going to be a really fun couple of days and really great hockey on display. I mean, these aren't bad teams that are coming to town. These are top teams. These are very good teams in their respective divisions.
I expect
and
Amherst
the ACHA
to probably be one of the toughest teams of that weekend.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. And in Boise State, they've gone on a run in recent years, playing really good hockey.
Yes.
I've actually heard Montana, University of Montana, has actually been a pretty stronghold in hockey, a pretty strong hockey team in the last couple of years, and they have a lot of great athletic programs up there at University of Montana. But I think it's going to be a great weekend. I think it was really cool to put it together and get a collection of storied programs, good programs, and come out to play. And you know what? I think it draws a crowd, right? I mean, the amount of time, you'd be surprised driving through Salt Lake City. Noticing the amount of University of Michigan flags. I've probably seen 4 or 5 University of Michigan flags on houses in Salt Lake City. And you know what? If they hear, Michigan alumni, very, they're known for being, very supportive of the University of Michigan, right? It's a very gung-ho, Michigan. And so, if they hear their school's coming to town for any sport, they'll go watch it. So I think it might draw some fans. I think they might, have some good hockey games being played, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really great show. I mean, like we said, it's a showcase, so you get to come watch. They're showing off, right? They're showing off their skill, and it's going to be a really fun time for these schools, and we're looking forward to hosting it. We hope we get to continue to do that. I know logistically it's probably tough to get all these East Coast teams out on the women's side, and get them all together on one day, and it's a day. It's long days of hockey. 3-4 games a day on the ice here. But, looking forward to it. It should be a really good contest here in Salt Lake. And, hopefully if you didn't know about it, now you do, and maybe you come out or you turn on the broadcast.
Well, and again, if you're a fan of women's hockey, this is a chance to see some, as Patrick said, some premier teams that you wouldn't normally get to see up close, right?
Right.
These Michigan, these Midwest kids and East Coast kids grow up with hockey, like typically playing hockey from a very young age, probably playing with brothers.
Playing ball hockey in the alley, right?
Yep. Playing pond hockey, right? And it's a chance to really see the potential of how good women's hockey can be. I mean, I'm not trying to knock Utah hockey, but, we got a ways to go. And you can see some really elite hockey players come out here to Utah. It's a great chance.
Right. And like we said, Utah's aware they still have a ways to go to become one of those top women's teams, but as there is also a hooking penalty called against Gracie Capps. But
Gracie, what did you do?
And they know there's a ways to go, but I think it's cool too because you're building good general manager relationships when you have these teams out, and we're going there, and you'd be surprised how much the quote return trip means in club hockey, right?
Right.
It's a big deal because scheduling is a tough thing to do, and returning the trip's a big thing. So, having these teams return the trip for Utah means a lot to the Utah program, and going out to play these teams far away means a lot to the program. So, the program's out where they play. So, very interesting topic, but. Wyoming to the power play. Might have a chance to
Wyoming gets power play.
Get themselves on the board this evening, and it's dumped all the way out by Fish. Looks like it's Brenner with the puck. As we mentioned yesterday, WWCHL League Championships happening in Boulder. That's another big weekend,
right.
just like
That's
the Beehive
right.
Showcase, excuse me.
And it looks like Hansen took a bit of a tumble there.
She's taking a lot, credit. Like, I mean, you've been giving credit to Hansen, but credit again, because I think this is like the third or fourth time we've seen this weekend. She looks to be injured, and she gets right back up and continues to play.
I tell you, man, she must. I hope she's gotten a special on ice, because she's going to be using some ice packs tonight. She's just been taking her licks, and I am just so impressed. She pops up, and she pulled her mask off the last time, and she gave her teammates a big smile.
Yeah, and look at right now. She's pepping up her team, and last time after she got up for being hurt,
the defender better.
that's probably what she's saying. She's probably saying, like, I need you guys to at least do this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But tough as nails.
And we've seen that, like, during the breaks, during the intermissions, she gets big high fives, big hugs for the team, because they know she's keeping them in the game.
Right.
I mean, I realize it doesn't look like that because it's 8-0, but you would have no idea how much more lopsided the score would be if she wasn't in the pipes.
Oh, right. It's.
And all I can say is, Paige, hang in there, and with some good stroke of good fortune, maybe in a couple years you will have those defenders in front of you, and you'll have a line that'll help you actually, come through with maybe a 500 season. That'd be pretty awesome.
Right. I mean, like we said, there's a potential out there for Wyoming to be up there and be a good hockey school, right? Like that. Not every, Arizona State, right? They started from somewhere. They started, right? Any good school you can point to and say they started from somewhere, and you could have the argument, we never could be as good as Arizona State, but they started just like all these other teams started, with no players, with, not a lot of skill, not a lot of discipline, and all of a sudden, you string together a 500 season when you weren't expected to, and people say, oh, okay. Wow, they turned their head. And then the year after that, you beat a team you're not supposed to beat. Oh, okay. Wow, look at that. And the sooner you know it, you're talking to big name recruits. You're talking to some of the best players in your respective city or state. You're talking to some of the best players in some of the best hockey states, right? You're talking to players in Minnesota and players in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and New York and Illinois, where, like Anita's been saying, where hockey is, much more like culture there, and it's a bigger game, and you've been playing all your life. All of a sudden, the script changes and it flips, and you're a team that is skating one of the best teams in the ACHA. So you can get there, and Utah definitely trying to take that path and become the next Arizona State and compete with them and be a heavyweight. A lot of the W1 play is, not in the Western United States. There's quite a number of teams in the Western United States, but as far as, proximity to each other and comparing it to the proximity of, Midwestern schools to each other, it really is, it's different because the trips are longer and you're able to play more schools in the Midwest because you're closer to some of those schools. So, you know what? You never know.
Yep, you never know. Maybe this is also a good time to just talk about a couple of the other things coming up. We, of course, are going to have our annual Skate with the Team and autograph session night. That's going to be the 1st of December. It's also going to coincide with a home series then. So I know that a lot of people come out and really enjoy that. That's an event that you do need to buy tickets for, and I realize that's up in December, but I'm just telling you, mark your calendars now.
It's almost November.
It's almost November. And then, of course, we will have our annual Teddy Bear Toss fundraiser, and that's going to be that same weekend. It'll be on the 3rd of December, and that's going to be for the men's D1 and D2 teams. That's their annual fundraiser, and that goes way back. I mean, that one goes way back to the days of the original M2, Utah M2 program, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Or you can watch part of one game, get a snack, come back, watch another part of a game. They also do have concessions here. They have a concessions bar with snacks and drinks if you would rather just stay in as the second period winds down.
Yeah, and the rink 2 is just I guess it is on campus. I guess you could say that. I guess
it's just on Guardsman Way. So
right.
Just
so
right on the edge.
I guess, yeah, I'm not sure he would call it officially on campus, but it's basically campus. So get to the rink up here on campus. If, students living in the dorms, there's hockey here. If you didn't know it, it's here.
And actually, they have public skates here, and it's a pretty nice rink. They've got 2 full-size rinks to skate on, and they've got 2 Zambonis. They keep this ice,
good shape.
Groomed pretty well, yeah.
And, if you're a big Utah hockey fan, you can skate on the same ice that your favorite players play on. And I know that's a big thing. I know when I was younger, I always wanted to skate on the United Center in Chicago, so never got to do that. I actually haven't skated here yet, but I absolutely want to. That's a good point. But, yeah, that's the end of the second period. Utah leading Wyoming 8-0 after 40 minutes of play. We'll be back with the final 20 minutes from Salt Lake City after the break.
Welcome to the Rocky Mountains.
Welcome to open trails and new vistas.
Welcome to stunning Red Rock.
Welcome to the greatest snow on earth.
By the tree of broken glass, where the home.
Welcome to Game Day Fun.
Anything could last. So let's go and take the words that we know.
Welcome to the party.
Of thoughtful dreams. But if you listen, you can still hear.
Welcome to Pac-12 Sports.
Our names, calling out our names.
Welcome to world-class research.
We'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab your wallet.
Welcome to the arts.
Have no trip. We are tough as nails. Come on, this is our land.
Welcome to real world experiences.
We can go to the bridge that crosses over fear.
Welcome to a great education.
Love and what it does to those they hold near. So let's run till the water.
Welcome to new
meets the
friends.
sun. We can toss our worries far away from our hearts. And if you listen,
Welcome to the time of your life.
not hear them calling out our names, calling out our
Welcome to all you can imagine.
Though we might fade and fall, we'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab your walk and see. Those gray clouds look close, but we have come and gone.
Welcome to the University of Utah.
So get up and grab your walk and see.
Thanks for calling the Salt Lake Visitor Center. If you have any questions, please leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Hello! I tell you what, I'm just going to put you on speaker. All right, a little about me. I'm a bit of a phenomenal skier, so I want to take my family on a vacay, which is short for vacation. Hope you don't mind the abbreviations. I'm just short of time today, so I need to sort of hurry things along. Just a few simple questions for you. They call Salt Lake Ski City, but you do ski in the mountains, right? I'm just picturing myself skiing down the sidewalk there next to the shops. Knowing my luck, I'll do one of my big flips and end up in the traffic. So I don't want that to be the case. Look, I've got to go. You're really keeping me here. Although I will say, I'm going to see your Utah Jazz play a basketball game. And I've heard there's a couple of Australians in the team. So here's my question. Are they causing you any trouble? I just had a thought. The average snowfall... Listen, just quietly. I'm a big family guy. You know that. I've told you that. But after a few days with them, I'm going to need a drink. That's legal, right? I hear Utah has the youngest population of any state. So if I was to head down to one of your hot rockin' clubs or a social event, would there be a youth person in there that might be able to explain Snapchat to me? My kids just won't do it. Now, I've heard there's a bit of a Sharks versus Jets rivalry between the skiers and the snowboarders. And if I made that movie, would you watch it? Ooh, when was your last Yeti sighting? Are you getting all this, by the way? I'm assuming you can rewind. The Utah state bird is a California gull. I mean, even you've got to admit that is confusing. I guess that's more of a statement than a question, but still I thought I'd bring it up. Now, your Ski City Super Pass, I take it that's part of the Marvel Universe. If I get that, will people call me the Winter Soldier Man? I really wish you could see this.
Hi, this is Beth from the Salt Lake Visitor Center calling you back to answer your questions. First off, yes, you can absolutely drink here. We'd prefer if you ski in the mountains, and I'm happy to call you Winter Soldier.
My name is Marguerite Van Komen, and I'm a snowbird ski patrolman. My dog's name is Frank. What a good boy, huh? What a good boy you are. I start every morning waking up and having breakfast with the dog, and then we finish every day having dinner together, but everything in the middle changes. We train them using their own instincts, so instead of hunt for dinner, they're hunting for humans. A lot of thought goes into choosing these dogs. Number one, they've got to be able to handle the cold. Number two, they got to be pretty hardy. And three, we're looking for very high drive dogs. The dog that is going to chew your sofa up at home, we want that dog. The people, the mountain at Snowbird, it's just special. And everything you want to do is here in Salt Lake. Get off the plane, grab your gear from the luggage cart, and within 30 to 45 minutes, you're up here and skiing on snow. You know, Salt Lake is super unique. We have 4 full seasons. So you can come up, ski all morning till the snow gets a little too smushy, and then you go and hit 18 at the golf course at the bottom of the mouth, and then you can go out for a wonderful dinner and see theater. It's amazing how much you can fit into your day. And not only do we have everything that you want to do, but we have great people to do it with. Everyone wants to be outdoors, happy, and go and play. Every day is different, and I love that. I love showing up to work and going, what is on the plate today? Snowbird is my family, and Salt Lake is my home, and Frank is a great part of that. My name is Marguerite Van Komen. I'm a snowbird ski patrolman, and I am Salt Lake.
Welcome to the Rocky Mountains.
Welcome to open trails and new vistas.
Welcome to stunning Red Rock.
Welcome to the greatest snow on earth.
By the tree of broken glass, where the home
Welcome to Game Day Fun.
anything could last. So let's go and take the words that we know.
Welcome to the party!
Of thoughtful dreams. But if you listen, you can still hear
Welcome to Pac-12 Sports.
our name.
Welcome to world-class research.
We'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab your
Welcome to the arts.
top, no trap. We are tough as nails. Come on, this is our land.
Welcome to real world experiences.
We can go to that bridge that crosses over fear.
Welcome to a great education.
Love and what it does to those they hold near. So let's run till the water.
Welcome to new friends.
We can toss our worries far away from our hearts. And if you listen,
Welcome to the time of your life.
not hear them calling out our names, calling out our
Welcome to all you can imagine.
Though we might faint and fall, we'll keep on standing tall. This world is in our hands. So get up and grab your walk and see. Those gray clouds look close, but we have come and gone.
Welcome to the University of Utah.
So get up and grab your walk and see.
Welcome back to the Utah Hockey Broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Patrick McGann alongside Anita Suchia. We are here in Salt Lake City, Utah, bringing you coverage between Utah and Wyoming. Utah currently leading Wyoming 8-0 after 40 minutes of play.
And I've been kind of trying to give a little bit of a plug to the Wyoming fundraiser. Hey, I wanted to mention a couple of things that you can do as a Ute fan, for those of you who are listening. If you go to the Utah Hockey website, you'll see a link on the right sidebar. If you click on that, that's the Utah Hockey Red Zone, and it's got all the apparel, the Utah Hockey branded apparel that you can buy. And it is indeed out of the Utah University's apparel line, but we have my understanding is Utah Hockey gets a chunk of that for their fundraising.
Yeah, so that was actually significant news. I think this is relatively recent, within the last 5 years or so, but the U Red Zone stores have recently, they've, like I said, within the last 5 years, have picked up Utah Hockey apparel. So you can go to the on-campus store and buy Utah Hockey apparel there and online. But I will plug another thing that we are doing here in Salt Lake City at the SLC Sports Complex. There is apparel that you can't find at those stores that you can only get here at these games.
And let
me tell you, there's a table right by where you walk in to get tickets. And let me tell you, I saw all the designs for the gear very recently. AJ showed them to me, the general manager, and let me tell you, you're going to want to come to the game and get yourself. There's some really cool new Utah Hockey hats. There's some beanies.
I haven't looked at that yet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go look at that.
There is a really, really cool looking like Winter Classic themed beanie, and there's like a really cool like pond hockey in the mountains themed hat. I mean, these are really, really well done pieces of apparel. And if you're a Utah Hockey fan, I think even if you're not too, I think it's just a really cool look. Broadcaster would wear it because there's a lot of cool stuff that they're doing here. So, come out to a game and maybe get yourself a cool hat and enjoy a hockey game in Salt Lake City and see your Utes play, or the visiting team, whatever it may be. If you like hockey, we have it here at the SLC Sports Complex. And this fall, it kind of seems like like homestand month break. That's kind of how it is, but in the spring semester, that's when the bulk of the home games will be played for all of the teams, for M2, for W1, and M1, especially M1. They're only going to have 2 road trips in the spring semester. So,
plenty
after
of chances to come out.
Absolutely. After Christmas, it's hockey almost every single weekend for about 2 months straight here in Salt Lake City. So come on out. It's a great venue, as Anita's mentioned before. Great venue, plenty of seating available. Hopefully that won't be the case. Let's sell it out. Let's sell out the venue pretty soon.
Absolutely.
And it's a great place to take in the game, and the atmosphere is fantastic. So come on out and see some hockey being played. Hopefully, if you're a Salt Laker, somewhere near you.
And I'm going to point out, those are 2 ways you can come out and support the team. You can go online to the Red Zone,
right,
or on campus store, or you can come to the Salt Lake City Sports Complex. There is a third way, and this is a way that I've been using. If you are a Amazon Prime shopper, you've got an Amazon Prime account, Amazon Smile will also donate certain items that you purchase, a certain percentage, to Utah Hockey. So once again, visit the Utah Hockey website, and again, look for that link. It'll say Amazon Smile. It'll be on the right sidebar, and then what it'll do is it'll take you to a special URL that begins Amazon Smile, or Smile, I believe, and any of the purchases you make, you'll see this is eligible for an Amazon Smile. And what that means is that a percentage of your purchase price goes as a donation to Utah Hockey, and I've been doing that now for over a year. And it can be big purchases, small purchases. I would say 99, maybe 95% of the purchases I've made have been eligible for Amazon Smile, and it cost you, the shopper, nothing.
Nothing extra.
Nothing extra. And as long as you use that URL, it's automatic. You don't even have to think about it. The way you know that it's an Amazon Smile purchase is there'll just be a little bit of a label on there letting you know that. But otherwise, it's like there's nothing else for you to do. Just use that link on the UtahHockeyCom.website. I actually bookmarked it. So that every time I go to Amazon now, anytime I open my shopping cart, it's automatically the Amazon Smile shopping cart, which is different from your regular.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's a good thing to know. And it's a great way to support the team, and these funds go to, obviously the logistics, the normal things, travel and jerseys and that, but also some funding goes to making these broadcasts you're watching on your screen right now better. And we know it's perfect, and we can't get any better because it's just so perfect, right? But we're just going to keep getting better. So, yeah, that's kind of how it goes here at Utah Hockey, and we always also just thank you for tuning in as well. It's an honor for us to be up here calling games. We do it out of love for the game. So, thanks for tuning in, and
they're throwing things at us here up in the booth.
Yeah, oh man, the production crew, they're laughing at us.
And they're embarrassed because their aim was so bad, they actually missed the person they wanted to hit.
Which was me. That was me.
They're blushing now. Look at them. They're so embarrassed. Good arm, guys. All right.
I'm sure their favorite part of their job was listening to us for 60 minutes at least.
That's right. They're stuck listening to us for this whole time.
Yeah, because they got to make sure the audio is good. That stinks for them.
That's a sacrifice that they're making for all of you folks out there.
It's already enough to hear myself in these headphones. I don't want to hear myself, so.
Well, and then there's the headphone that only has one earpiece working. That's kind of surrealistic. We've banned that headphone.
But anyways, we got hockey in front of us. And Utah still leading 8-0. They scored those 8 in the first period. I think since then, the coaching staff is really, just kind of, instead of, obviously it gets to a point where, obviously you want to let up a little bit, but, it's still, a game atmosphere where players who don't usually get seen are, getting time on the ice and improving their craft, right? Because like we talked about yesterday, and what Anita brought up, I remember this vividly, is saying, you can scrimmage and practice, but you're still playing against your own players, and these are players and their tendencies, right?
Right.
But you're in the game, right? And it's a game-like atmosphere, even in a game like this where you're outplaying your opponent pretty thoroughly. But there's a goal put in off the rebound.
And it looks like Mary Kate, I believe that's her second goal. Mary Kate Shutt, her second goal of the evening.
I believe so.
She scored 1 or 2 yesterday as well. Well, and, I think also it gives some of the Utah players who play a lot, gives them kind of an easier night, if not a night off. We know that some of the first stringers are taking the night off tonight. Some of them were taking the night off last night purposely just to, it's a welcome break because the season, it's a long season. Just because they're not playing at home very often, that doesn't mean that they have a bye week.
Right.
So, and I mean, I know it's going to sound really obvious, but this is a physical game. You get beat up.
Right.
You have nagging injuries by the time you get to the end of the season. Everybody is walking around with something hurting. That's kind of the nature of competitive sports of any kind. And hockey being a contact sport, even more so. You're going to get hit by the puck. You're going to get get an awkward fall and, fall into the boards or fall on the ice. And you're going to be limping around.
Right.
Tweak a knee or an ankle.
And when you're playing weekend in and weekend out, it really does grind you down. And, to give your better players a rest, that's always great. But I think it's even better, too, to give the players who don't play a lot ice time because, it kind of improves their morale. Because nobody likes not playing, right? Everyone wants to get out there and make a difference for the team and, try and get a goal or whatever it may be. But I think getting the players who might not see the ice some more time, it really does up their skill. They get more experience in a game-like atmosphere, and they're able to improve their craft that much more so that they'll be, more of use to the team. And not that they aren't to begin with, but they just become more talented hockey players by being out there. Because the only way to get better at hockey is obviously just playing more hockey, right? So, getting these players a chance to whatever it may, you just skate, maybe even feel tired and kind of, maybe even gas themselves out, right? Like just get gassed, right? It helps them improve their, cardio, whatever it may be, but it's good for that.
And I think the other thing is, again, when you're in a game where you're leading so substantially, the one thing you don't want to do is cause an injury.
Right.
To the other team who is playing shorthanded. They're tired. You want to just be real careful that everything, the plays are as clean as you can keep them because it's not like you're fighting in a really close game where it's a 1-goal difference or a tie game. it's important to, be respectful of the fact that, these poor Wyoming team has got to get up and, get on the bus and go home after this.
Right. And, obviously, you don't. Obviously, no one's intention is ever to hurt an athlete, in the game. But,
well, hopefully not.
But, like an injury to the Wyoming team, that could be detrimental, right, to a team that's already has 3 skaters on the bench. So, playing, just kind of, using it as an opportunity to get some new players some ice time, but also, practice on some other aspects of the game. And, it's good for that. And you see that here tonight. There's some players, on the score sheet that you wouldn't typically see, and that's what, that's a good thing for Utah to have these players get improved. And like we said, all these freshmen too, they're not used to playing the gritty game that is W1 hockey in ACHA, right? So getting them experience just in a game, like we said, the atmosphere and the pace of play is important because these freshmen need to mature, and once they do, they're going to, like we said, it'll be a solid group of players, and coaching staff's very excited about it. I always love talking to the coaching staff because they're very excited about what the future holds, and every week they're always excited about their games, and they're always get mad after a loss and excited after a win, as you should be. But the atmosphere and the overall vibe around the team, it's great, and it's fun to watch them play, and hopefully those freshmen, like I said, they mature into fantastic hockey players.
And I think that's an important point. And there's a goal.
Scores.
Looks like, is that Grace? No, Attica. Sorry, I can't tell if it's a 15 or a 13. Looks like Attica Nielsen on that nice little flip wrist shot, top shelf. We'll see if the announcer makes me a liar, but I think that's who got that in there. What I was going to say is a lot of people don't quite realize it's a really big jump from high school to college level athletics.
Yep.
It's a bigger jump than you think. And so it does take a while to get used to the change in speed and the change in the complexity of the plays, the sophistication of the plays that you have to learn and how you work with your teammates.
Right, and just like we say, the game is much more physical. It's much more draining, right? So that's why anytime you get an opportunity to rest players on your team, it's significant. It really does help, and taking them out of the fray for a week, I guess you can say, is it really does help the team improve and overall keeps the health of the team higher, just because you're not exposing their bodies to tough play every week.
I kind of saw that one coming. It's going to be delayed penalty on number 16. That is
Hadley Justison.
She's one of our Wyoming players who stood out to us for her skill level. But in this case, I think she's probably going to get a body check for that one. Let's see what the hand signals. Yep, body check. And again, for those of you who are familiar with the difference between women's and men's hockey, I don't have to explain it to you, but if you're new to women's hockey, there is a limit to how hard you can bump into another player. It's a bit like soccer, where incidental contact, which can be quite physical, I can tell you that personally, having played not hockey so much, but soccer. But actual body checks that you would see in a men's game are not allowed in the women's game. And so Ms. Justison's going to sit for 2 minutes for body check. And we've got about 10 and a half minutes left in this period, and Wyoming clears it all the way to the other end. Wyoming's also doing this interesting thing because they're so shorthanded. They only do half a line change at a time, which I think means that half the line stays out for 2 shifts, and then they switch.
Right. So double shifting, basically.
Double shifting, but not like one full line at a time. So there's always a fresh set with the tired set.
Evens out the playing time.
And I think it provides a little bit of overlap, so you don't have an entirely fresh line and then a line that's just dogging it near the end of their shift, like everybody's tired at the end of the shift. And I'm sure these gals are going to sleep very well this evening when they get home.
Well, that is if they don't just get right back on the bus and go back. That's part of collegiate sports, and also just sports in general. There are plenty of times where the visiting team like Wyoming will bus out after their game and go home and just drive through the night. That's I've been a part of that with Utah hockey as well.
Obviously, look up the Wyoming schedule, see if they maybe booked another another game like along the way, because that's also fairly typical, is to try and like
Right.
get a couple of games on your road trip that are close together so that you don't just bus out and then bus back.
Right, and I think for Wyoming it probably is just playing Utah,
Oh,
just
it is?
because
Okay.
it's not. I think it's probably the closest team they have on their schedule.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
actually, maybe not if they play Colorado State. That might be a little bit closer, but still, I think it's. I think it's definitely the closest team Utah plays.
Yeah,
I
you're
think.
right. They're gonna. So what they did is. Oh, that's kind of interesting here. Let me see. Oh, I can see what's wrong. It looks like, yeah, they're going to play Utah and then go back home to face Air Force next weekend at home. So they went out and bussed out to Boulder to face University of Colorado last weekend, then us this weekend, and then next weekend they play at home and face Air Force. So you're right, it was just the one team and back. But like you said, it's probably got to do with logistics where there just aren't other teams along the way they can string together into a road trip.
And typically when you play more than 2 games in a weekend, it's because you're going very far away. Like it's Michigan. Like typically most of the time you see these teams playing 3 games a weekend. It's a long trip. Or, like you see this year, happens occasionally with the M1 team, they played GCU. So they went down to Arizona for the first weekend of the season to play ASU, but they played GCU to start the season. So it was GCU, ASU, and then this weekend they went to play GCU, UA. So basically the one game before saved them a whole nother trip. There were times Utah makes that trip 3 times to the Phoenix Metro. I guess Tucson, but they still fly or bus through Phoenix. But there are times they have to take 3 Arizona trips in a season. But because they played 3 games in a weekend, which obviously adds, it adds a factor of your players get tired and it's tougher to do, obviously. But you save yourself a trip. You save them a full trip, which saves costs for travel and makes it more convenient. So it's very, very nice for, that reason. But also most of the time you see, like, for example, if Utah could only play 2 teams in Michigan or New England area or, Midwestern area, they probably wouldn't go unless they can get 3 or 4 games to make the trip worth it. Just
and
because
the women did that on their Michigan trip.
Right.
They've been Michigan, Davenport, and Aquinas.
Yes, they got all those schools in Michigan.
But even so, they were out a long time. I think head coach said
6 days. I think. Yeah,
6 days for that trip because it's the only way they could get all the games in.
Right. And they found themselves in an interesting situation too because they flew in through Detroit and then they played Michigan. That's right. Pretty easy. That's about a half-hour drive from DTW over to Ann Arbor, and then they went out to play Davenport and Aquinas, and then they actually flew back to Utah through Chicago Midway. And I thought that was pretty interesting because I'm from Chicago, so I thought that was cool. But also, they didn't even fly back through the same airport. They had it actually was kind of like a mini road trip, right? You start in one place and end at the other, but. That was a cool trip for Utah. Like we talked about yesterday, I'm looking forward to hearing some more opinions on that. We talked to the coaching staff about it yesterday, and they said it was a really cool experience, and that the girls on the team were pretty excited to play at Yost, and they were kind of
they were really impressed at how many people showed up.
Right, and like kind of wide-eyed at first, like, wow, this is, Yost and University of Michigan, this is crazy. But they said they enjoyed it. They said it was a really cool trip, and they, had a good time going all the way out to Ann Arbor, and then, of course, Aquinas and Davenport, the other 2 schools. But I would probably say, and they would agree, that the highlight is playing University of Michigan at Yost, because that's one of the big-time United States universities, right? That's, that's one of the bigger ones, but just Ohio State, Michigan, the big rivalry out there, and then, USC, another big U.S. university, and UCLA, all the, big university. It's always cool to go play there. The M2 team will get to play at Southern California, so that's pretty cool. So, anytime you get to go play at one of those massive storied universities, it's a cool time. So, and hopefully, schools like Utah and Wyoming writing their script to become one of those types of universities someday, and build a really good hockey culture, and maybe develop a place like this into a well-known rink for it's really loud, it's up at altitude, it's hard to play there, right? So. Someday that could be Utah could be on the map there as one of the toughest places to play, and, have a rocking rocking barn every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the greatest thing. That would be. I hope you and I are here to see that.
I hope so too. I would love to.
And Wyoming, by the way, killed off that penalty.
Yes.
And did not allow a goal. That was number 10, Megan Weidler, went in for interference, and Wyoming actually managed to kill that penalty, and so now teams are back to full strength.
That's a win for them, right? Like I was talking about yesterday. Take the little wins, right? Let's kill off this penalty. Let's do it successfully. You do that? Okay. We take the little victories here, and we also improve our team in the best way we possibly can, you know, whether it's just a penalty kill or stick handling or skating, right? Anything you could do to be better. As a coach, you're going to say, let's do it, right? Obviously. So good to see Wyoming kill off the power play for Utah there. So we have less than 5 minutes to go in tonight's contest in Salt Lake City. Utah will go and play Wyoming 2 more times this season down in Laramie. That'll be in the spring semester.
Return the visit. And Hallie Hansen decides to put on the Jets across the blue line. Do you know, do they play on campus? Do they have an
I'm not sure. I didn't check the specific rink they play at. I would assume they might. I mean, I obviously, you know, that there's not really. I would assume the hockey culture at University of Wyoming is kind of developing and starting. I know they have a men's 2 program, I believe. So
they do.
I don't think they'd have an on-campus rink, but I could be wrong. But it should be nearby. You know, Laramie, a little bit of a, you know, obviously much smaller than Salt Lake City. So I'm sure that the rink is nearby. And I'd love to see the kind of environment they get out there in Wyoming. I'm sure a lot of their fans come through. Like Anita said, there's a lot of support for this team, as we noticed, just kind of doing some quick Google searches. So it's cool to see the support. It's always great to see support for, you know, teams just starting up. And I'm sure they have a pretty nice home crowd and a good environment when they're playing on home ice. And I'm sure they're looking forward to doing that pretty soon, because they had a couple of road trips back-to-back here, like Anita mentioned.
All right, winding down to the last 3 minutes. Whoops. Is that going to be icing? Oh, and then we have a bit of a collision. That wasn't actually anybody intentionally running into each other, but it was just Miranda D'Antonano and who's that, 16? Hadley Justison kind of collided in mid-ice, but no foul, no penalty.
It looks like Hadley Justison is their most skilled player on the team. Very good skating ability.
She's had a couple shots, I believe.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm quite fond of number 8, Ashley Krieger.
Yeah, they have a couple good players, and that's really not to say that they're bad players, but you know, it just kind of building off of that skill, right? That, you know, you can build a team around, you know, especially any of these players really that have been here, right? You can build a team around them because they know, you know, looks like there's a penalty.
I think it's going to be too many players.
It looks like a cross check, I think, is what the referee.
Oh my, okay. And Hadley Justison back into the box. I thought for a second it was too many players on the ice, because when the whistle went off, everybody kind of froze on the spot, and it looked like there were 6 players. But obviously I was wrong. So Wyoming's going to have to spend the last 2 minutes and 38 seconds. A player down, a skater down.
And Utah go back to the power play. Nice deflected pass there from Wyoming.
Yeah.
Utah will pass it forward here. Caps comes into the zone. She's pinned up along the boards. Nice job by, it looks like, Ashley Krieger to make sure the puck didn't get deeper into the zone, but Utah takes it over. Pass down to Weber. Over to Caps, and just off the mark. Caps dumps it all the way in. Kurg to take over. 1:40 to go in regulation time, and referee might be calling a body check penalty. That's what it looks like.
I didn't. Was it in the crease? Because I was watching the puck get deflected by the defender, and oh no, Wyoming's going to be 2 players down for almost a full minute. That's a tough one. Oh, she's smiling though. She doesn't look too upset, and it's Krieger. So now it's Krieger and Justison, your favorite and my favorite, now in the box. Well,
they're laughing about it in the box and talking about probably their respective penalties.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little pantomime. I think Justin's trying to say, well, this one happened to me. And Krieger's laughing.
Good to see 2 players having fun. So Utah will have a power play for the rest of the game unless they score twice. So they skated all the way in.
And Yarrow's going to go for it. She's trying for it. Bailey's going to try and come around. Utah, of course, just making sure they get set up. Oh, this is a nice one-timer.
Very nice one-time shot
by
there.
Harris.
As they try and set up the power play here. Skated around.
Oh, that went all the way through.
Wyoming just trying to stay home on defense. You're not really playing too aggressive.
Right, you can't when you're too short. Oh, there's a nice deflection.
Pass across the zone. And Justison back on the ice for Wyoming.
Ooh, nice deflection there by, that's number 18, Ralston.
Puck goes all the way out of the zone. Justison chases after it. You can see her speed there. 20 seconds to go in the contest. Utah skates it up. Next time we'll see these women's skating Utes, the W1 team, will be at the Beehive Showcase in a couple of weeks.
We hope to see you here. Don't forget the table. Bring your credit card because there's a table full of goodies.
And it looks
right
like
at the buzzer.
Well, I'll be interested to see if they count the goal. It's right at the buzzer there. I think it was before, but they won't count it.
I think it was just before, yeah.
And Utah will take game 2 of the series by a score of 10-0.
11.
Oh, well, I guess 11 if they put that in, if they put that last goal in. But
which it would have been and it would be a power play goal if they do count it.
Looks like they're probably not going to count it, but that's all for tonight's contest. Wyoming going over to pick up their goalie, Paige Hansen. She played fantastic.
Yeah, another stellar, amazing Iron Woman performance by Paige Hansen.
Good to see another good performance by her. But that's all the time we have left on the broadcast this evening. We thank you for tuning in tonight, and we thank you for tuning in this weekend. It was Wyoming and Utah. Utah victorious tonight 10-0. For Anita Tsuchiya, for the production crew, for myself, Patrick McGann, signing off from Salt Lake City, saying thank you for tuning in. We'll see you for the Beehive Showcase in a couple of weeks from Salt Lake City. But until then, take care, and we'll see you next time.